Hi guys, it's Josie, and today we're going to delve into a riding issue that interferes with your ability to train your horse. And what is that? That issue is not having independent hands. And I know you would have heard of it before, but what is it and how do we fix it? So in this video, I'm going to go in and show you how you can find out whether you've got independent hands or not, and if you haven't, some little tips to help you fix it. At the end, I will share with you when you do get independent hands, how you can make your horse look. And I'll also want to tell you that independent hands aren't something that you just don't have one day, get the next. They are a work in progress, and they are also something that you are going to be working on your entire riding career. And the last little exercise I will show you is one that I'm working on this month, all month, to help me with my hands. So let's get to it. So one of the signs that you don't have independent hands is that you, not your horse, you are leaning on the reins because you are using it for balance. And that can be quite obvious in a real beginner rider and very subtle in us as older riders or more experienced riders. And I am always still checking to make sure that I am not balancing on the reins. So let's see how that can look. So if you're walking in walk, you should be able to follow the horse's nod with your hands. If you're all over the place and you're slightly hanging on to that to keep your balance, then you are leaning on the reins. Your hands should move as if you didn't have the reins in them in the same manner, and you would be able to keep yourself in a nice, soft, supple seat. So my hands can follow his ears, basically. That's what I think about. When his ears go away from me, my hands go away from me. In the trot, if you are balancing on the reins, it would mean that you couldn't rise trot very well without a contact. And if you're rising trot without a contact, sorry Rebel, and you're doing, you can see it interferes with him when I do it, like you're using your hands a little bit to find your balance, a bit like walking on a balance beam. You need to be independent of your hands. So the way you can do this is just grab a little piece of mane with both of your hands, and you only want to do this on horses that you trust, and you should be able to rise trot without losing your balance. We'll get to some more exercises at the end of this video. The other way in trot that you may not have independent hands, and this was a big problem for me, and it's one I check myself on regularly, is when you rise out of the saddle in trot. I want you to watch my hands now. So you might think they're independent because they're not moving anywhere, but I am stiff in the elbow. So they're going up and down as I come out of the saddle. Another often early beginnerish problem is you have straight arms like this. See a lot of them, right? And see what my hands are doing? They are not independent of my rise. That requires you to have a soft elbow. So go and watch some video of yourself and see if you're either doing this with straight arms or even this with bent arms. Sorry, Rebel. It's all right. He'll enjoy his feed tonight. Good boy. The secret to having independent hands is actually to have an independent seat. Because if you're wobbling all over the place, like I said in the beginning, you'll often, can you not chew my boots, please? You'll often be using your arms, even if it's only slightly, to balance yourself in the saddle. And those slight movements can mean your hands are moving and they're not then independent. But I have a whole series of seat exercises I did, and I will Rebel, don't chew my boot. and I will link that at the end. So I showed you the exercises I did to help me improve my seat, and I still every now and again pull them out of the closet, put them on for size and see how we go. And I'm here to tell you, when you look at them, if I can do them, you can do them too. So I'm just going to show you a couple of little exercises to help you develop your independent hands, which comes from your independent seat. We'll just do the first couple in rise trot. So in rise trot, one of the biggest things I see, particularly people who either have a poor fitting saddle that doesn't put them in the right position or not enough strength, is that they, I can't do it to you, sorry Rebel, I'm going to have to let go of one rein and show you without my hand on the rein. It's such a sensitive horse. So as they come up, they pull their hands back and they are actually using their horse's mouth as a little bit of leverage, and it only has to be tiny, guys, a little bit of leverage to get out of the saddle. So the way I work through that is I think my hands stay here and my hips go to my hands, hips to hands. Now I'm exaggerating it because it's easier for you to see, but I'm thinking hips to hands, hips to hands, hips to hands. My hands stay where they are and my hips come up to my hands rather than, yeah, see, I just accidentally, deliberately, like to show you, sort of gave a little hoik on the rein to get myself up. He stopped. A horse that has that done to it all the time, guys, or a horse that you're hanging on to inadvertently, not even realizing you are, will have a thick under muscle here. So if your horse has an under muscle, you can bet your bottom dollar somewhere along the line, someone, and maybe you might have been the owner before, has been hanging on to the mouth, because the horses will brace against it and set their jaw, because they usually have horrible contact, just to tolerate the fact that people are pulling on their mouth. The other thing I want to show you about independent hands is that they just sit there like, I'm not chasing my horse's contact. He takes the contact. I'm going to let go of the rein in a minute. He'll probably stretch down. But if I don't have a contact, my hands are just sitting like this. Even when I have a contact on his mouth, they sit there. I'm carrying my own weight. I'm not having a slight pressure on the rein. It's a bit like you're carrying a tray of drinks and you don't want to spill them. You have to be soft, don't you? Or even if that analogy doesn't work, think about doing an egg and spoon race. If you've got your egg and spoon here, you can't be stiff, you can't be tight anywhere here or you'll tip the egg out. Everything has to be soft to take those little movements, to absorb that movement. That's the same feeling you need to have to get a nice contact on your horse with your independent hands. The other thing that you can do that is very good is working without stirrups. Now I do this, don't groan. I'll explain it to you in a minute and you'll find that it's not that difficult. But don't disregard how good working at the walk can be. I taught myself feeling when my horse's hind legs are coming underneath them from walking and practicing without stirrups. So I can tell you when his left hind leg is coming off the ground and coming underneath. Now. And that helps me when I'm timing to put aids on Rebel to set him up for success. But that's a whole nother video. Here it is with a sitting. So I'm going to go sitting trot. Now I believe in good practice, not bad rehearsal. So if I feel like I'm losing my balance or I'm slipping or sliding off the horse, I will come back to walk, reset up and go off in a good sit trot. Because to me, with muscle memory in our bodies, you should only practice, good practice, as I said, not bad rehearsal. So here we go off in trot. And my hands at sit trot should sit out in front of me and I should be carrying that egg and spoon or that tray of drinks. If I feel like I'm losing my balance, I'll come back to walk. I'll reassess myself, get myself back in the saddle, and I'll ask him to trot off again. And sometimes in the beginning, just do a little punsy trot, a little tiny pony trot on your horse, doesn't matter. What you need to do is find the rhythm and find what you're doing with your seat. I've done a sitting trot video. I'll link that in the description too. Here we go, off we go again. And the little exercise I said I'd share with you that I'm doing involves sitting trot. So I found that I would get tenser and tenser in my shoulders in sitting trot and do that. And as you can see, he doesn't like it. So I found a little exercise which involves me moving my shoulders because they would creep up and be tense and tight. If I'm moving them independently of each other, they have to relax. I'll show you what that looks like. I have been working on this. So I'm making them move, and I can actually already feel it's made my seat better. And now I try and sit still with them in that relaxed position. When I feel them tighten there, I'm going to move them and relax them. Now I'm going to move them and relax them. So that's something that I'm working on at the moment. I pick something each month and work on it. And when you can put it all together, and you have yourself some independent hands, you will find that your horse is much more happier in the contact. You have a quiet contact because your hands are still. He doesn't have to be worried that you're going to swing off his mouth because that cannot be nice. And he will go around, hopefully, in a nice little shape. And if once he's into the contact and you've got still hands, you can then start to build your horse up from the back end to the front end. Until you've got independent hands and he's accepting of the contact, you can't. How do you start to do that? Easy, guys. Very simple in the very beginning. Once you've got a nice contact like this and your hands are pretty independent, you start to do some, let's do a trot to walk transition. Good boy. Because there he had to step up into that, but my hands didn't pull, they're following him. And if I'm going to go and do a walk to trot transition, I always think in my head that I put my hands forward, a bee's whisker, because the horse is going forward into the contact like that. Beautiful. Good boy, Rebel. So, once you have your independent hands, then you can start training your horse. Independent hands are vitally important to horse training. I'd love to hear in the comments how you feel about that. If you go and try it, make sure you come back and let me know. I love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.